Welcome back to the channel. So we have with us today Evan Rabin. How you doing, Evan?
Very good. I'm great to be here.
Thank you. Now, Evan is a master chess player, but more than that, Evan has this system where he trains people and coaches people how to excel in life based on strategies that he has learned from and employs in chess. Is that correct?
That is, yeah, we teach a lot of business and life skills through the game. We work with students ages 3 to 100 plus, and in school programs, corporate classes, private lessons, and a lot more.
Awesome, awesome. I love the fact that even on a high skilled style such as chess, you can still get photo bombed. I think that's amazing in the middle of there. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I think it's great. So basically, I just want to jump in. I want you to give us exactly that. I mean, I'm not really sure I could lay out the questions for you, but basically, we know where we're getting at this. What can you learn from chess? I mean, me personally, I used to be a professional poker player, and poker, there's so much left to chance. It's a different world. Whereas, as they say, you play a chess player that's a master, you're going to lose every time. There's no room for luck. So I understand the skill. I just, as I was telling you on the phone, for me, it's actually challenging to understand how a person on your level could coach somebody because, there's like the regular chess players and then there's the next level. And when you're on the first level, maybe you can relate to life, relate to each other. But on your level, it's so complicated and so like not understandable to the regular layman. That's why I asked you on the show. It's fascinating to me how you could apply it. So sorry for the rant.
No worries. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, for one, we do have, different coaches of, different skill levels, this and that. And I think it's important to, in any way, be able to be a master, but also a good teacher, being able to uh, essentially dumb things down a little bit, just like a doctor would, for instance. Um, my daughter, now, for instance, is 7 weeks, and uh, especially when she's in the NICU, things like that. There were a lot of medical stuff that my wife and I needed to know. But of course, at a much dumbed down level,
That's a very
compared
good
to
point.
what the doctors know. So you would have been
Right.
able to understand a majority of what they said. And then, in fact, my cousin Simon Rabinowitz is a doctor, and at one point the doctor tried to explain things to him directly on the phone, and their whole vocabulary was 100% different.
That
Talking to my
actually makes a
cousin.
lot of sense. That's a very good answer. So what would be a strategy from chess that one could apply to life?
So obviously, there's quite a bit. I would say the number one thing that I like to talk about is thought process. So in terms of every single move, you want to get the biggest return on investment possible. There's always typical investment. Students will often make a move, and I'll say, "Hey, why did you make move A rather than move B?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm not really sure. Both of them look, pretty good." Well, that's true. Both of them might look pretty good, but actually, letter A might give a return on investment. And that of course is the same thing in life, of course. There might be, for instance, tonight I have literally three different parties that I found out about. Whether I'm going to go to any of them, I don't know. With the newborn, but if I am going to go, I need to learn how to prioritize and figure out which one is like the biggest bang for my buck.
Interesting. So in chess, you are completely surrounded by choices, and some choices are bad and some choices are just not as good as others. And that is certainly something you could apply to life. I got it. That's a good point. What else you got?
Um, yeah, no, again, there's quite a bit, and then another thing is judgment training. So we actually teach at a law firm, Kramer Levin, once a month, where, we often talk about the idea that on one hand, you need to know the law inside and out, but at the same time, every single case is different. Or in your language, within halakha and Jewish law, every single case is different. So one thing that I've actually been, a little bit confused about in the past, actually talking to rabbis, is, often people are like, oh, I need to talk to like my rabbi about this situation, and I start to think, well, like, shouldn't it be like a, kind of one size fits all, solution? Or sometimes I'll talk to, someone who, observes, halakha. And they'll say, no, you got to ask your rabbi on this one. I'm like, don't you know the answer? But again, the truth is, um, sometimes it's not one size fits all. So, I think it's important to, have your ideas and study chess, but you also got to think on your feet, and every single case is a little bit different.
That is true. You probably never played any two games with somebody, let's say on your level, that were the same, right? Or very rarely.
Yeah, pretty much rarely. Obviously like different openings will, repeat, but in terms of like a full game, absolutely not.
That's a very good point. And that's a great analogy to the rabbi thing. I mean, I could give you my opinion, but that's not the scope or the point of this conversation. But I think you pretty much, you nailed it as an overall vague answer. And I mean, there's also, not to get too far into it, but there's also the challenge of, the rabbi needs to know who they're dealing with. If a person's not going to listen, then why put them in a position where, maybe if you go a little easier on them, you can get more bang for your buck in the long run. There's a lot, but I'd rather stick with chess. I'd rather, I'm not going to get this chance that often to get into the mind of a master chess player. Um, so that's interesting. Okay, so I'm trying to keep categorized because I might not be good at chess, but I am a logical man. So the first thing is that life is full of choices. The second thing is that um, situations are different, but even more so, people are different, and you have to make the proper decision for who you are in the place where you're at. And that's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also, look, you got to do obviously what you enjoy, of course, and I think also, yeah, I mean, to each his own, right? To someone who, without getting into, the rabbi thing, per
Right.
se, yes, you would probably say something a little different to, someone who was in Jewish day school their whole life to, someone like me who did not grow up with, all that much Yiddishkeit.
Right, right. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Um, you were speaking of dumbing down, which was a very, very good point. Um, so I have this theory that there's no such thing as teaching. I cannot teach you something. I can dance around the point until somehow, some way you take that information into your mind and figure out how to apply it. But the concept of teaching to me, it seems almost impossible to take information that you didn't have before out of my mind and put it in yours. And so with that train of thinking, I wonder, like, what would be the best strategy for somebody who's really, really good at poker? I did it again. Uh, for somebody who's really, really good at chess to teach somebody who's not that good to become better? Meaning, obviously, you have courses and classes and all that, but what I'm talking about specifically is like I play chess with my brother-in-law, and we're both good for low-level chess players, meaning, for like, around the house playing family members, but against someone like you, you'll 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 end the game in 4 moves if I'm lucky. How does somebody on that level, if you were just to throw out, leave us with just some sort of thought, and then we're going to see if we can apply it to life. How does somebody on this master level leave somebody on, like a decent, like I'm saying, basic player, just, horsing around? It's like major leagues to, somebody playing baseball in Friends Field or something. What would be the tactic or the strategy or the advice or suggestion?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it depends on the person and whatnot, but in general, the most important thing is just doing a lot of puzzles. A lot of students, get really caught up. I got to learn openings, I got to learn this, I got to learn that. But no, the most important thing is to do a lot of chess puzzles. And then also, I was actually just interviewing Grandmaster Jesse Cry on my podcast 2 hours ago, actually. And one thing that we were talking about too is analyzing your own games. Playing and really trying to not repeat any mistakes, any build tactical patterns, and whatnot.
That's so interesting that you give that as an answer, because I think one of the most boring things for a person who's up and coming in chess is to study the way they officially tell you to study, by going over those opening moves and all that stuff, because you want somebody who's playing chess to have a love of the game. And we have a love of the game, but not at that level. And then we want to keep that love as you're improving it. Your answer is great, because yeah, eventually you're going to have to learn those strategies, but once they're in your realm of your comfort zone. So I like what you're saying. That's a much better plan.
But yeah, I mean, going over all of that stuff beforehand actually does not, really help out, that much. I actually, had a kid at our summer camp yesterday that I was working with a bit. It was a chess and table tennis camp, and one thing that he mentioned was, oh yeah, he was talking about different like opening lines, this and that. And then I was playing with him, and literally several moves in a row, he just flat out hung a piece. And I honestly start, laughing inside a little bit, just because, yeah, like a second ago, he was telling me about all these, relatively complicated opening lines. And
Right.
then, 3 moves in a row, it's just, here's a queen, here's a bishop, here's a knight. When really you should be like just looking at, not even honestly basic tactics, like just, hey, your opponent makes a threat. Okay, you got to see it and you got to respond to it.
That's great. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to leave off by telling you that I'm I'm very impressed by the way you give over information, and I think that I can genuinely now recommend that people take a look. We're going to put your information in the description for your courses and your website and whatever we're going to share, your Instagram page. Um, it's very, very eye-opening, because I'll be honest with you, I wasn't expecting this conversation to go this way, since I have spoken to so many, well, not so many, but the people I've spoken to that are on this level, they make it like this challenge where you're just like, forget it. I'd rather just stay at the level where, I can kick butt around, my level and have fun with it. But your strategy keeps the fun and the love in the game as you improve. And I give you a lot of credit for that. I mean that genuinely from the heart.
Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, it's my great honor. And look, at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to improve. When I interviewed Grandmaster Alex Linderman on my podcast, I was known for many years. he actually said, the number one tip that he could, provide to, pretty much any player is you got to enjoy it. If you enjoy end games the most, that's what you should study.
Exactly.
Openings, whatever, like that's what you need to study. So, you just got to enjoy it, and then the rest comes.
Exactly. I think you should keep doing your podcast. You should keep taking those interviews. Um, I think that you really should spread this idea of this love for the game that comes with fun and work, but good work, not annoying, boring work. And I think you're doing great. Just besides for the information, the description, could you just give a quick shout out to your website and your courses and stuff before we say goodbye?
Of course, of course. For one, I did actually want to give a shout out to our mutual friend Esther Deutsch, who actually kind of put us in touch. Actually,
Hey, Esther.
she was on your show, very recently, the other day, and yeah, a good friend and colleague of mine. She's actually been on my podcast as well. And yeah, for sure. But if anyone wants to learn more, whether you're an organization, you're a school, you're an individual looking to learn jazz, or just want to chat, my name is Evan Rabin. You can go to premierchess.com, email me at evan@premierchess.com. Or actually even best, book a meeting on my calendar directly, www.calendly.com/premierchess. And we would definitely love to hear from you.
Wonderful. Great job. And yes, I do have this policy on my channel of paying it forward. So thank you, Esther. But now you owe me an interview with a friend of yours. So, all
I'm on it. Definitely have a lot of entrepreneur friends who would definitely love to come on. So I'm
right.
on it.
Thank you so, so much.
Yeah, thank you.